Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us today, and welcome to this week's Sunbelt Football Coaches Media Teleconference. We are now joined with Shawn, the head coach of App State. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thank you very much for joining us today. Would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Yeah, big-time win here on Thursday night here at the Rock in Boone, North Carolina. Proud of our team. Great team effort. I thought we played complimentary football on all three phases of the game, and came down to the very end. We were fortunate enough to run the clock out against Marshall, come out with a big win. But now we're starting conference play, and I do believe the Sunbelt Conference is one of the top mid-major conferences in the country, and we'll have a work cut out for us this week against Georgia State.
Thank you very much, Coach. Our first questions come from Dan McDonald. Please go ahead, Dan.
Good morning, Coach. I know your team likes to control the football. You held Marshall, so I think it was 60 offensive plays. Was that sort of a point of emphasis to try to, maintain possession, keep the ball out of their hands?
It was, and again, Marshall has an outstanding quarterback and running back and several good receivers, and we knew we had to keep the football. And I thought Coach Jones and his staff did an exceptional job of bend but don't break. And then on offense, Coach Ponce and his staff did a great job of controlling the ball, and we were very balanced. I mean, you look at as 20 years of coach, I never had 283 yards passing and 283 yards running in the same game ever. So I thought it was a great game plan, but again, I think we played very complimentary football. When we went forward on fourth down, didn't get it, defense came out and stopped them, and it was that way all night long. It was a big-time college football game, and something we're excited to get there with a win.
Can you talk about the performance of your offensive front? From the parts I saw, it looked like that they were starting to control the line of scrimmage.
Well, we ran 91 plays on offense. That's a lot of plays in a college football game. And I didn't think our offensive line played as well as they could have, but we played good enough. And a lot of that goes, we were blocking for first downs. Our receivers really blocked well this past Thursday night. Tight ends played very physical, which gave us a chance. And we had two great running backs, and Cam Peoples and Nate Newell, and they were breaking tackles, and that's hard to contain for a defense when you're breaking tackles. We made great plays.
You talked about opening conference play. You start off with a Georgia team that was probably one call away from beating Auburn, and then you got Louisiana and Coastal Carolina. Can you? Is your front end schedule in the conference pretty loaded up?
All of our focus is on Georgia State right now. I haven't looked ahead at all. I know Shawn will have his team ready to play. I mean, you look at their schedule; they play one of the toughest schedules in non-conference schedules in all of college football, and their combined record is 12-4, and Shawn's a couple points away from really, except one game of been 3-1. And you watch on tape, and he has his guys playing hard, tough, which I know he will, because I'm very familiar with Shawn, playing with him here at App State, and I know his brand of football, and he's going to run the ball and play physical. So we have our work cut out for us. Last year we didn't play as well, so we can go down there and play a clean game to have a chance to win.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dan. And thank you, Coach. Do appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you. If everyone could stand by, we'll be on a brief pause here until we have Jamey Chadwell of Coastal Carolina at 10:37 Central Time. So please stand by. Thank you for holding, everybody. We're now joined with Jamey Chadwell, the head coach of Coastal Carolina. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thank you very much for joining us today. Would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
First of all, let me just say to ULM and Coach Rodriguez and Rhett that we're praying for his recovery, a speedy and safe recovery there from our football staff and our players. I'm very thankful for our win this past weekend. We were able to come out and take care of business, really from the opening quarter. I thought our special teams played really well, got us some points put on the board for the 2 out of the last 3 weeks, and was able to get a lot of guys some earned opportunities out there to play. So played well in all three phases, and excited about our hosting our first conference game here as we start our new season.
Thank you very much, Coach. As a reminder to our members of the media, it's *1 to get in the queue. The first questions come from Dan McDonald. Please go ahead, Dan.
Good morning, Coach. Is it
Morning.
You've had a tough game, on the road at Buffalo, and now you're about to open the conference season. Is it a benefit to have a game, like the UMass game that you were able to get, pretty much under control, to sort of bridge that gap between a tough non-conference game and then going into the league?
Well, I mean, I think anytime you can, come out and play well and come off a tough game and then come out and play well the next week, I think it's a benefit, no doubt. The main thing that you want to try to do is hopefully you've got confidence coming into your league, opening game, and we're able obviously to do that, having the success that we've had up to this point. But we also realize, Dan, that it's everything starts over, so it really doesn't matter what you did before. But I do think it was good for us to come out and play crisper the next, Saturday. We executed a lot better than we did the previous week. So that's a benefit, I believe, going forward.
You mentioned playing guys. You had 11 different players run the ball, I think, and 8 different players catch passes out of only 15. How much will that help you going into the league?
Well, I think, you hope guys have worked hard in practice, and we've got some guys that are capable of earning some meaningful minutes. And so they obviously got an opportunity there, this past week. And the thing that about league play and this league is how tough it is. And so we're going to have some of those guys step up, whether it be an injury, whether it be COVID at some point. Something's going to happen where you're going to be out somebody that's used to playing, and these young people that are getting some experience in game situations. Hopefully that will pay a little bit of dividends down the line if their number's called.
What have you seen from ULM and what you've been able to look at so far?
Well, we didn't have them on the schedule last year, obviously, but from the way they're playing, the confidence that they're playing with, they're playing hard. They're playing physical. They bought into Coach Bowden and what they're trying to do there. You can see that they're playing as a group in all 3 phases there. So impressed with what they've done so far. I thought the Kentucky score was actually a little bit misleading, to be honest with you. I think they played them a lot closer than that score was, and then obviously the win versus Jackson State and then a big win versus Troy. So they got a lot of confidence, and I think they're playing that way. So big challenge for us.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dan. And thank you, Jamey. That's all the questions we have for you today. We do appreciate your time, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you. If everyone could stand by, we'll be back in a couple of minutes here with Kane Wommack of South Alabama. Please stand by. Thank you for holding, everybody. We're now joined with Kane Wommack, the head coach of South Alabama. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thank you very much for joining us today. Would you mind starting us off with the opening statement?
Yeah, it was really great for our guys in the bye week for a number of reasons. Obviously, getting some guys back in the fold. I had a couple of guys banged up, and that was really nice to be able to get some bodies back that we anticipate getting ready to play on Saturday, as well as just working on us. We're in year 1 of the program, and even though we're very fortunate to be in a position of 3-0, there are a ton of things that we have to get corrected and continue to work on. And in order to execute at the level we want to in the Sun Belt, we got to play better. And so I thought we had a really good week in the off season, and it'll give us an opportunity to win moving forward in conference play.
Thank you very much, Coach. As a reminder to our members of the media to *1 to get in the queue. Our first questions come from Dan McDonald with The Advocate. Please go ahead, Dan.
Morning, Coach. Your team rolled up, 31 unanswered points first game, and then you sort of had to hold on the last couple. What have you learned about your team over these first 3 weeks?
Well, I think what I'm probably most excited about is we talk about all the time operating with a neutral mindset, and that means doing your job at a high level regardless of success or adversity, just going back to work. And, the game, you watch college football, right? And on a bye week, we get a chance to do that, which as coaches, we don't get to do that very often. But when you watch college football, the game is so much wrapped up into the momentum swings, right? Positive momentum, right? Negative momentum that you have to overcome. At some point in the game, you're going to carry some momentum, but you're never going to do it for 60 minutes. So regardless, just doing your job over and over again until somebody on your team creates that game-changing momentum, and then you capitalize off of it.
What has can you assess the performance of Jake Bentley so far through 3 games and what he's meant?
I think Jake has been really solid, but I think there's more to give. I think we're very dynamic in our passing game schematically. I think we've got very talented players at the receiver corps, and Jake has seen a ton of football, and so he's executed a high level when it matters most. But I think in terms of creating explosive plays in the passing game, I think there's some more things that we can do. So we're not operating to the level that we have a vision for and that we expect. And so we're working on those things. But I think that, we continually draw upon Jake's experience. But at the same time, we want to create those explosive plays downfield. And we have not done that to consistency at this point.
You've won 2 home games, and now you open conference play at home. What's the level of excitement now?
Well, I think it's really exciting for us on South Alabama's campus to have an on-campus stadium that we get to go compete in. Here's the most fun thing about it, right, is this program is so young, right? We don't have many traditions. We don't have we've never created a game day experience on campus until really this season because of COVID last year. So everything we're doing, we're creating traditions and experiences for our fans, players, coaches for years to come, right? And that's a really exciting thing, but also knowing that our best days are ahead of us as a young program and knowing we're all going to get to experience those things together. And that's what Saturday is. Saturday is a tremendous opportunity for us against, really the standard bearer in our side of the league in Louisiana. So getting to do that and kind of gauge where we are as a program, but also create some real excitement. We got a whiteout game, and our fans are excited about doing that. So just creating those experiences and building traditions for years to come it's a fun time right now in Mobile.
What do you see out of the Louisiana team so far that you've been able to look at that might be different or might be something that they have not done in previous seasons?
Well, I think there's a lot of similarities that we draw upon. Obviously, Billy's background at Alabama and some of the things that they're doing offensively versus some of the things that we do offensively. You see some similarities in that regard. And then obviously, we played Southern Miss this year, and their defensive coordinator had just come from Louisiana, so getting to see some of those things as well has been great for us. But here's when I turn on the film, and this is a credit to Coach Napier and the rest of his staff, you see a program that has operated at a high level going into year 4. They've got, talented players, of course, but they know what to do. They do their job. They create enough explosive plays to win football games when it matters most. And they don't beat themselves very often. And that, to me, is what's critical. Everybody's got things to fix. They do, we do, all that stuff. We're going to continue to grow as a program, and so will they. But they're further along. They're in year 4 right now, and you see their ability to overcome some adversities. And yet at the same time, their culture is set and established, and you can see that on film when you watch them play.
Appreciate it, Coach.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Dan. And thank you, Coach. Do appreciate your time today.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Remember, we stand by. We'll have Jake Spavital of Texas State on here shortly. Please stand by. And thank you for holding. We are now joined with Jake Spavital, the head coach of Texas State. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thank you for joining us today. Would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Yeah, coming off a tough loss versus a very good Eastern Michigan team. I think they're very well coached. Coach Creighton does a really good job with those guys. And, they've built a really strong program up there. They don't make very many mistakes. They play extremely hard, and I got a ton of respect for what they do. I think our team, like where we're at this bye week, couldn't come at a better time right now. I thought like the look at the first 2 weeks of the season. We're playing. We're healthy and we're playing at a high level and being competitive. And just with some of the unfortunate circumstances over the past 2 weeks, I think where we're at with this team is to get to this bye week, get healthy, and kind of regroup and really kind of reassess the situation that we're currently in and get ready for conference play, where we got a bye week this week, obviously, and then we go over South Alabama here in 2 weeks. So our kids, they're in a good spot right now. They understand where we're at and at what point we are at in this season, and I think we're kind of anxious to get to this bye week, get healthy, get back to practicing, get back in the groove of things, and go try to make a run at this conference. So questions, please.
Thank you. As a reminder to members of media, *1 to get in the queue. Our first questions come from Dan McDonald. Please go ahead, Dan.
Morning, Coach. Just from looking at the numbers, was it just a matter of not being able to get them off the field and slow that offense down?
Yeah, there was a number of things. I thought, the offense sputtered at times too. And like with our offense right now, we've got a bunch of inconsistencies. Like we either move the ball very efficiently or we're 3 and out and we're putting the defense right back out there on the field. I did think the defense struggled on third down. We would get them into a lot of third down and long situations, and they executed it pretty clean on a lot on QB scrambles. And unfortunately, you can't be 11 of 14 on third down, and you got to get them off the field, and then when they did do something successful, the offense 3 and out at it and gave it right back to their offense. But like you look at like kind of where we're at, like we're extremes right now, like critical downs, like they were really good. Eastern Michigan was on staying on the field, and we were very poor on offense on staying on the field. And you talk about like just yards per play. We sputtered at times offense, and like they beat us by almost like 2 yards per play from an offensive margin, like from a Texas State to Eastern Michigan margin. And, like we only got to the red zone one time. We were 1-1 in the red zone. The offense has got to be more productive to get down there. And the defense, they were 5-6 or 6-6 down there with scoring 5 touchdowns. We got to kick field goals. Right now, we just didn't play it very well with complementary football. And, the numbers are really skewed because, each side of the ball just didn't complement off of any momentum the other side of the ball had.
You mentioned the open days and how it falls right before conference play. What will your process be for the next couple of weeks?
Right now it's more about just kind of self-scout on where we're at and what we can do to help our kids out. If we get into those depth situations again, but more importantly is trying to get these kids back on the field and healthy. I know that we went through a few COVID issues and we've got some injuries as well, but like they should be there. They're not long-term injuries, and they should be able to get some of these guys back and get them back in the groove of things in this first week, right? And then the focus will shift to South Alabama. But a lot of it right now is getting these kids healthy right now, and then doing some self-scouts and seeing what how we can put our kids in better situations to have success, and then we'll start kind of gradually getting ahead on South Alabama, so we're not just cramming it all in next week.
You mentioned the COVID issues and so forth. Was there almost a hidden benefit in that you got to play some people that maybe wouldn't have seen action at this point that maybe you might need later on in the conference season?
And we had that discussion, and when we got into the fourth quarter, we played we played everybody else, just to try to get as many reps as we possibly can with these guys, and that's an optimistic thing looking forward, that we're getting some quality reps on some kids that probably aren't ready, but it's just unfortunate, when you want to play at a high level, your depth's got to be able to rise to the occasion. And like optimistically looking at it, like you're talking about, man, it's a good deal for these kids to get reps, but, we need to get healthy and we need to get these kids, get our depth back so we don't put some of these kids in a lot of position because, like you have like one of our rushes, one of our defensive ends, Isaiah Nixon, he played probably about 30 more snaps than what he normally does in the game because we were down to one rush and we had to move a defensive tackle out to play rush, to give him a break at times. So, there's some pros and cons to it, but, just optimistically speaking, hopefully that's going to give them a lot of confidence, and just terms of just a game experience moving forward.
Appreciate it, Coach.
All right, thanks.
All right, thank you, Dan. And thank you, Coach. We do appreciate your time today.
All right, appreciate you. Bye.
Thank you. If everyone can stand by, we're going to place everyone on a brief hold, and we'll be back with interim head coach of Georgia Southern, Kevin Whitley. Please stand by. Thank you for holding, everybody. We are now joined with the interim head coach of Georgia Southern, Kevin Whitley. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thank you very much for joining us today. Would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm Kevin Whitley, interim coach at Georgia Southern University. We're excited about the opportunity, and we look forward to finishing our successful season. So we're off to a good start. Had a good practice yesterday, and just trying to get ready for the remainder of the season.
Thank you very much, Coach. As a reminder to our members in the media, *1 to get in the queue. Our first questions come from Dan McDonald with The Advocate. Please go ahead, Dan.
Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
I guess I have to talk about the elephant in the room. What has it been like for the last 36 hours or so?
It's been nonstop, no doubt about that. But just trying to gather it all, get the information we need, and we're going to try to move forward in a positive direction.
How have the players handled this?
Of course, the players love Coach. A lot of people in our building love Coach, and it was very difficult transition. I think they've adjusted well. Like I said, we did go out on the field yesterday in practice for about an hour. It was a lot of energy. The kids moved around well. So I think they understand what's going on here, and we're going to make the best of it.
Let me ask you about Saturday's game. It looked like at times your offense was able to click, and then at times it looked kind of disjointed. I guess Louisiana gets a little credit for that.
Yes, Louisiana is one of the top programs in our conference, and we knew going in that we were going to have to play at an extremely high level to have any success. As you stated, there were times in the game where we did move the ball well, and other times we sputtered for one reason or another. But what we'll do this week, we'll look at the film, we'll get better, and we'll get ready for the next one.
How, going forward, are there any, do you see any significant changes, or are you just sort of going to try to do what you do and do it a little better?
Well, right now it's probably really early in the process for me to really answer that probably the way you would like for me to. I do think that we have two really good coordinators, Coach Sloan on defense and Coach Roos on offense, and we definitely want to do what we do and get it better. There will be some changes here or there, but overall we just want to be a better football team, get better with the fundamentals.
Appreciate it, Coach.
No doubt. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Do appreciate your time today. Thank you for joining us.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. If everyone can stand by, we will be joined with Butch Jones of Arkansas State here shortly, so let's place everybody on a brief hold, so please stand by. We're now joined with Butch Jones, the head coach of Arkansas State. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Coach, thank you very much for joining us. Would you mind starting us off with the opening statement?
Sure. Well, I thought our kids competed. I thought we took some steps in moving forward as a football team, but, it's still understanding what it takes to win, and you can't not lose the game. And, just our players understanding the intensity that it takes to compete for 60 minutes. How do you handle the different momentum swings that occur throughout the course of the game? And then, obviously it's a line of scrimmage game, and you're not going to win very many football games if you can't stop the run and you can't run the football on offense. Obviously you go and you look at everything, why are things occurring? It's one thing to say, okay, here are the issues, but why are they occurring? And then what are you going to do to correct those issues? And the big thing, I think, is just fundamentals and details, the discipline to execute. Our players on defense understanding team defense. And, football is a game of one-on-one matchups, but you also have a job and a responsibility from gap integrity, from your fits, from your eye discipline, and then running our feet on contact, way too many diving on the ground with missed tackles. So again, our players understand that. They've had a great positive approach. Really, for the first time since being here, I really saw some hurt in the locker room after we lost the game. I think our players are starting to understand the investment that it takes in winning, but it starts up at front in the line of scrimmage in both defensive lines and offensive lines. So with that, I'll answer any questions y'all may have.
Thank you very much, Coach. Our first questions come from Luke Matheson with Red Wolf Report. Please go ahead, Luke.
Hey, Coach, I know it's easy to dwell on the negatives and everything coming out of a loss, but you just kind of touched on it, the guys having the hurt in the locker room and everything after the game. It seems to me just from watching with my own eyes that, like I said, there's negatives there, but there's also a lot of positives. And it seems like if this team could just build on those positives and really put it together for a full game, this could be a really fun team to watch.
Well, you're exactly right. And I really saw a monumental shift in our preparation last week, the way we approached the week, the way we practiced, the physicality that we expect on a daily basis in practice. I started to see that. I also think we're starting to finally have some leaders emerge. You really try to find out about your identity of a football team and who your true leaders are. And it's easy to lead when things are going well, but when you have some adversity like we've had, you're starting to see some different players step up, which has been great to see. But, our kids that have a workmanlike approach, they understand, they want to learn. I thought we took a major step forward in special teams. We'll be challenged this week with the very good Georgia Southern special teams units. But I see progress, and, a lot of times I know we're measured on wins and losses. I get that. Everything is producing on the field, but I do see this football team taking steps, and I think it's magnified when you play quality opponents because every mistake you make is magnified. But I do see this football team growing up and understanding what it takes, and you're exactly right. It's the intensity for 60 minutes. It's the discipline to execute for 60 minutes. We have it at times, but we have not put it together for a complete game in all three phases.
You mentioned special teams, and when you mentioned that, I've got to think about Blake Groupie and career long for him. It's not just the Tulsa and the career long, but Blake's been pretty solid for you this year.
Blake has been extremely solid, and we always talk about, consistency and performance, and Blake has that every day. He comes to work every day. He's worked exceptionally hard to improve his leg strength and his accuracy, and he's done a great job. And right now he's kicking with a tremendous amount of confidence right now.
You already touched on Georgia Southern, obviously. Kind of a two-part question here. One, obviously getting ready for those guys, what to expect for them, but also their change that they made yesterday, and how does that affect how you guys prepare for that game?
Well, first of all, this is a very, very talented football team. And again, when you're at this level, you're a byproduct of your non-conference scheduling. And, when you look at the FAUs, the Arkansas, and then you play one of the best programs in our conference in Louisiana, I think you have to put everything in perspective, and it's all relative to the level of competition you're playing. So this is a very, very good football team, a very storied program, a very prideful program, a very disciplined program, and a very physical and great toughness within their football program. Up front, they have 3 out of the 4 returning starters. In the back end, the 8 out of the 11 starters have previous starting experience. They're a veteran group. They're very active. I love C.J. Wright. I think he creates havoc, but they play exceptionally hard. And then, a great challenge for us defensively. We've already struggled stopping the run, and now you got to go play a team that has over 1,200 rush yards in 4 games and number 2 in our conference with over 240 yards per game. But that's misleading because, when you give up sacks, that's taken out of your rushing in college football. So really, they're the number 1 rush offense in our conference. They have Justin Tomlin back who, has good size, has patience, understands the offense. And then, with this type of offense, they challenge your discipline, your eye discipline, your rules. They force you to play assignment football. They have a really good O-line and a great running back core. So this is a monumental challenge for us. Instead of that, those are really circumstances that we can't control. So all we have to control is, our preparation this week. What type of game day mindset do we set up? How do we handle our discipline? So again, that's something that we have no control over. So again, we won't focus on that at all.
We have time for one more. We'll go to Mitchell Gladstone with the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Please go ahead, Mitchell.
Hey, Butch. As far as the from an offensive perspective, you've coached on that side of the ball for so long. Is it possible for an offense, when the defense is giving up 50-plus points a game, is it possible for an offense to, become demoralized? And if so, how do you guard against that as a group and, not let that impact what you're doing on that side of the ball?
Well, you have to focus on the task at hand. And, each game is different. The nuances are different, but you have to have a mentality that you're going to do whatever it takes to win the football game. And if that means that you got to match your opponent score for score, if that means sometimes you got to control the clock and keep your defense off the field and possess the ball with time of possession and the ability to run the football, you have to do that. But I think when you have great confidence, we had to do that at Alabama. There was some games where we had to possess the ball. Sometimes, we had to score points, and we knew that's why each game is different in terms of the way teams match up with each other. We had, the same thing at Tennessee and Cincinnati where we, each game had a little bit different. But I think when you have confidence, you're willing to do whatever you need to do to win the football game. And if that means scoring points, and, every play you have to create in your mind, it has a life of its own. And so you have to be able to play the play and snap and clear. Well, we really ran into issues, and, we had 5 pre-snap penalties. And you can't do that when you need to possess the ball or score points. Now it's 2nd and 15. It stifles your momentum. And we did overcome that twice in drives. But, those are the things when we talk about understanding what it takes to play winning football. You can't have, self-imposed penalties. You can't beat yourself. And that's something that we'll continue to talk about, try to teach as we move forward.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time, Coach. That's all the time we have for you today.
Thank you. Have a great week.
Thank you. You as well. Moving right along, we're now joined with Terry Bowden, the head coach of ULM. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thank you very much for joining us today. Would you mind starting us off with the opening statement?
Yes, very proud for our football players to go out and then win their first conference game in a good long while, and second game this year. We are such a work in progress as a football team, but I can't be more proud of our players and their buy-in on what we're trying to get done here. And so, just a very good win for us and our football team against a team that's been very, very strong in this conference, Georgia State, and a good home showing again for our crowd and our fans. And so I just can't say enough about our team and getting a win. Winning just solves all problems. It makes for a great atmosphere, and we kind of got that now. We did not come out of the game unscathed. Rhett Rodriguez, our quarterback, ended up having some difficulties after the game, breathing and chest pains, and he went through the game and got into the post-game press conference fine, but he was wheezing a little bit, and then our trainers made sure he saw a doctor. They sensed he was having some problems breathing, and it ended up being a partially collapsed lung. He had a much more severe injury than we were able that they were able to identify. And so he was admitted to the ICU, stayed there, now is out of ICU, or at least they've been able to get the situation under control. And what was a very, very concerning, serious situation because of just not understanding why he was losing air in his lung, and that the doctors were able to identify it. So now I think it's going to be a matter of them making some decisions when to get out, how long to mend. But the good news is that they seem to have that into control and moving in the right direction. So we're awful glad for him. And of course, Coach Rodriguez, his wife, his mother, Rita, they were very concerned. And, we always say we treat our players like our children. And, but when your players are your children, you begin to understand how much these are children of parents and how their health, how important that is, and that winning or losing football games for any of us coaches, our main responsibility always is for the health, safety, and welfare of our student athletes, and whatever we do just brings it a little closer to home. And so thank goodness he's improving, and our team uninjured other than that, and out of the furnace into the fire, from Troy to Coastal, and a team that just amazing coach, amazing staff, amazing quarterback, an amazing team. And they're just playing at a premier level, and we've got that to prepare for now. And I'm open for questions.
Thank you, Coach. Our first questions come from Alan Blonin with the Myrtle Sun News. Please go ahead, Alan.
Hey, Coach. Just how important, I guess. Thank you. How important do you think it is just to have a win to show the players that what you guys are trying to do, and you may be moving in the right direction and get some results to show that?
Well, gosh, it's so important. You can talk about what we're going to do. This is the sixth program I've taken over, and all of them but one, including Auburn, we're losing. We're losing programs, some of them terribly losing programs. And somewhere along the line, you've got to get your nose pointing in the right direction. You've got to get them moving in the right direction, and you can talk about it and preach about it. And show them times in the past where you've done it before, but until you win, you don't get that. They don't believe. But so we won last week, and it was a big win. Jackson State is just a very, very good team. I've coached against enough SWAC teams to see what Dion has done over there, but it's still not a conference game. And then playing Troy, and of course, I think of all the Group of Five schools I've coached against over the last 30 years, that's Troy more than anybody. And so that was just a great win for us from a standpoint of just what you said, getting the players to believe in themselves. That's where it starts. It has to start with a belief, and the belief comes from actually getting a win. So now we've got a second win, our first conference win, and unfortunately it's out of the furnace and into the fire because we're going to see the premier team, I think, in the conference, and probably the premier Group of Five team in the country. And a magnificent coaching staff and head coach and quarterback and team. It's just, I think, an amazing program to watch. We got to find a way to stay around in this. I just hope we can be competitive against a team like this that's playing so well and on so many cylinders.
All right, Coach, one other from me. Just obviously the program was down when you took it over. I guess what was there? I guess what were you pleasantly surprised about finding there? What kind of assets did you have there that you maybe were surprised by?
Well, I mean, again, I spent 7 years at Akron, and the Mid-American Conference is very similar to the Sun Belt. 1 year the MAC might be better, 1 year the Sun Belt might be better, but it's very similar. And so I've noticed that the talent level wasn't that far removed. Now, I will say this from the MAC, having been there and gone there as the worst program in America when I got there, and playing for the conference championship 4 years later, we won our first bowl. It's not as far from the outhouse to the penthouse in this level of football, and I think Coastal can tell you. And so when I came in, I was most pleasantly surprised that we had not won a game, had not led a football game the entire previous year, but the talent level wasn't completely depleted and down to nothing. We lost. It wasn't great, but it was nothing. 2 years before last year, where they had won 5, the previous 2 years, and that was kind of close to getting to a bowl eligible situation. So I was glad that the talent level wasn't just totally gone with nothing, but more importantly was how much the players bought in to what we were trying to do. We had to convince our players that we've done this before, that have taken over programs before. If they will do what we say to do, and if they will stay the course, that we can get this thing righted. Sometimes it takes a game, sometimes it takes a season or two, but we will not waffle. I'm too old. I've done it too long, and so I think the biggest thing I got from our players was that they were willing to do anything to pay the price, and they bought in. And by doing that, it cut down a lot of time of having to just get rid of people and saying, sorry, these guys don't buy in. We got enough buy-in that we didn't have to make wholesale changeover at every position.
Thank you very much, Alan. Thank you, Coach. That's all the time we have for you today. We do appreciate it.
All righty. Thank you. I'll answer shorter next time. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Coach. We're now joined with Billy Napier, the head coach of Louisiana. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at the time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thank you for joining us. Would you mind starting off with an opening statement?
I think obviously good to get off to a good start in conference play, going to play at Georgia Southern, which is an incredible venue with great passion, and certainly the history and tradition is very obvious there from the minute that you get there. I want to compliment Georgia Southern relative to how they competed in the game. I do believe that Chad had his team ready to play. They played with effort, physicality. They had a good plan, and certainly made it difficult for us at times. I do think it was a good team win. I thought the combination of offense, defense, and special teams really allowed us to win the game. We have areas on our team where we need to continue to improve. And obviously we can get specific about that if you've got questions. But overall, I'm very pleased with the intangibles that we showed. I thought we kept our poise, played through the ups and downs of the game, and put it together enough to win. I do think we can start faster. And then we had some opportunities in the second half there to make it 3 scores, and we weren't able to do that. Some of that's us. Some of that obviously is Georgia Southern. Certainly want to compliment Chad Lunsford, obviously aware of what's happened. But Chad Lunsford is a good man. He is a person I have tremendous respect for. His teams have always played competitive. I've got a lot of respect for him, as a human being. So it's part of the profession, but you hate for it to happen to a good guy like Chad. And certainly going forward here, we'll do anything I could do to ever help him. So we're excited about turning the page. We started that process yesterday. We put the game to bed, started work as a team and as a staff on South Alabama, which is undefeated. They have an open date this week. 2 weeks to get ready for the conference opener at their place in their new stadium. They've got a good nucleus of players back from the team from last year, and they've added probably 10 or 12 transfers that are contributing to their team and making a difference, and they're playing good team football. There's no question. There's a reason why they're 3-0. They're big, they're fast, they're physical. Kane's done a good job there kind of getting that ship righted. It's very obvious when you turn the tape on. So they always present challenges, and certainly this Saturday will be no different. And we're going to need to have a really good week of practice and preparation to be at our best when given our next opportunity. So what questions do we have here?
Thank you, Coach. Our first question comes from Dan McDonald with The Advocate. Please go ahead, Dan.
Morning, Coach. Can you talk a little bit about your defensive play in the second half? You're playing a team that does a lot of things different offensively than I guess just about anybody else in the league. Can you talk about how your defense played in the second half?
I thought
we're one big play away. I think they had a 75-yard run that popped on us. We lost the edge and then had a couple missed tackles there, and the guy went the distance. Without that play, we hold them to 3.3 a carry, I think, which is probably the best we've done since we've been here against them. We got a takeaway with the interception, and if you throw in the 4 fourth down stops, we were 4 out of 5 there. You really get 5 takeaways if you count turnover on down. So I thought that it was by far the best defensive performance of the season for us. I was really pleased. I thought Coach Tony and the defensive staff and our veteran defensive players did an outstanding job. I thought they played their tails off and certainly made numerous stops there in the second half. And we started fast on offense in the second half. We just, after those first 2 possessions, weren't quite able to put the game away, which is something that we can learn from. But, no, I think you're spot on. I thought we played well.
You had the 2 block kicks. Was that something that you saw going in that you might be able to take advantage of, or is it just the circumstances just fell that way?
I think each week, and overall as a program, we talk about special teams a lot. We allocate time for it. We try to make it important with our players and our staff. And rushing the PATs and field goals is a part of that, right? It's one of 6 units that gets to play each week. And we develop a plan based off the opponent. Certainly well executed, right? I thought the ball get off, the fundamentals that were applied in the situation. Both scenarios, you got players that are doing it exactly right, not only with effort, but with really good technique and fundamentals, and came through, right? Big momentum play right before the half, and certainly the block PAT kind of changes the format of the game, the score of the game there in the second half. So big plays, game-changing types of plays, and we're always seeking opportunities to do that, and those guys came through.
Thank you, Dan. And thank you, Coach, very much for joining us today. We do appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
You as well. And we're moving right along. We're now joined with Chip Lindsey, the head coach of Troy. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thank you for joining us today. Would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Yeah, thank you guys for being here. Obviously, I had a tough weekend going down to Monroe. Thought we had a great week of practice, but it just did not carry over, especially offensively. I think the story of the game was the penalties and obviously the big turnover they returned for a touchdown. Really disappointed. Thought our guys played hard. We just did not play very clean at all. And give Monroe a lot of credit. Coach Bowden and those guys are doing a great job. If you look at the game, we dominated the time of possession and yards and several things like that, but just really could not get the ball in the end zone really till the very end. So give those guys credit. They executed and really kind of got after us, and we're disappointed in how we performed for sure, and got to regroup. Got a big road test this week at South Carolina that obviously we're going to have a great week of practice to another road trip. This, I think, will be our 3rd consecutive road game, and we need to go play well. And if we do that, I think we'll have an opportunity to win the game, and which could be a great shot in the arm for us. So I like the way our team has responded last night. Obviously off day today, getting ready for practice on Tuesday, and I think you'll see our guys respond accordingly. Questions?
Thank you, Coach. As a reminder to our members of the media to *1 to get in the queue. Our first questions come from Dan McDonald. Please go ahead, Dan.
Morning, Coach. Can you talk a little bit about the momentum change, emotion change? You look like you're fixing to go into the end zone and maybe make a step toward taking control, and all of a sudden it's going the other direction. I mean, how deflating was that for your team?
Yeah, I tell you what, Dan, that was tough. I mean, we had to put a good drive together. Give Monroe credit defensively. They came out and gave us some things that really we weren't prepared for from the standpoint they had not shown before.
and they did a great job of executing and really, we felt like we finally got some momentum and got some executed some plays and get down there. And just unfortunately, the ball, I don't know if it was caught or if it was ruled an incompletion. I mean, an interception. Some people have told me it's a fumble and recovery for a touchdown. Some people told me it's an interception. Either way, it popped right up in the air to their guy, and he ran it back 95, and that was tough. We were about to cut it to a one-score game, and next thing you know, we're down two scores. So we got to, we kept fighting, and we continued to play hard and tried to respond. But yes, no doubt in my mind that was a big turning point in the game.
I know Taylor Powell had a good game for you, numbers-wise and so forth, but it didn't look like you ran the ball, I know, the way that you would want to. Is that an area of concern right now?
Yeah, for sure, Dan. We really struggled, from the standpoint of getting a consistent run game. Now, I do think some of it was due to penalties. We had several penalties, a couple holding calls that called some runs back, and then obviously a few false starts there. And that's not characteristic of our team. We have really been a good team discipline-wise from a penalty standpoint, really since I've been here. So that was very alarming, very concerning, something that we got to address immediately, and we'll do, and we already have. But, it's hard to get a good run game going when you have a good run and get it called back, and then you're second and long or first and long or whatever. So definitely an area we got to get corrected.
Appreciate it, Coach.
All right. Thanks, Dan.
All right. Thank you, Dan, and thank you, Coach. We do appreciate your time today.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. And moving right along, we are now joined with Shawn, Elliott, the head coach of Georgia State. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thank you for joining us today. Would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Sure. It's the last week of September. We're fixing to roll in October. We got an October 2nd date with the Appalachian State Mountaineers open up conference play, and we're ready. We're ready to get moving forward in this conference slate. We're just finished up our non-conference and sitting here at 1-3 and looking to, start gaining some momentum. I think over the last 4 weeks, I've seen our team improve each and every week, and hopefully that's a good sign. Typically when you're improving, and we've improved drastically, to tell you the truth, over the last 4 weeks, that's a good sign. But we've got a great opponent in Appalachian State, and Coach Clark and all those guys up there. I know those guys really, really well. They're coming to our place this weekend, so we've got our work cut out for us. By far, they're the best team that we've faced thus far. I mean, they're going to be the best team we've seen. They can run the ball really effectively. They're doing a few different things offensively. They've got a great defense. Dale Jones is doing a heck of a job in creating chaos with that defense. So it's a tall task for us to start off conference play. But like I said, we are gaining momentum and we are improving as a football team. And we're looking forward to that 2:00 start this Saturday at Center Park Stadium against Appalachian State and Georgia State. So it's gonna be a fun day.
Thank you, Coach. As a reminder to our members of the media, to *1 to get in the queue. First questions come from Dan McDonald. Please go ahead, Dan.
Morning, Coach.
Good morning.
I know it's frustrating. You've got a top 25 team and SEC team on the ropes, and then you don't get a call that goes your way, and things just seem like they spiral downhill from that. How hard was that on your team as far as emotionally?
Oh, I don't think at that point it was a big, devastating, emotional type situation. I mean, sure, the call was what it was, but we had to continuously go play. We played the next 3 downs as good as we could, and they were set up there for a 4th and 11. I don't even really remember. And we played that play really well, lost contained, had pressure on them, and it was a tremendous effort by their quarterback and that receiver getting open, making that play. It didn't have that big of an emotional effect. Now, it certainly had an effect on the down and distance situation and things of that nature. But other than that, there was nothing emotionally. Probably not for our team, but maybe for me, because I was pretty upset about it.
Can you talk a little bit about the way your team was able to run the football on a pretty good defensive unit?
Well, I mean, we try to run the football each and every week, and we don't do anything spectacular. We do it in a very simplistic way where our players know how to block whatever fronts they are and whatever stunts they may encounter. So, we did a good job in running the football. We moved them off the ball, especially in that first half, very nicely, and they were just getting out of their fits, and we were blocking them up front, and we were able to put some big yardage up. I think we rushed for right at 298 yards if you don't take out the loss of yardage in our sacks, and that's pretty impressive going up against a great football team like the Auburn Tigers.
Can you talk a little bit about Tucker Gregg? It seems like it was kind of a coming out party for him.
Tucker's he's been out for a while. He's a big, good back, and Tucker's not a flashy guy. He's not going to blaze you with speed, but after seeing that game Saturday, he might have blazed them with speed on one of those runs. Strong, physical. I mean, he's just he's everybody's All-American. If you've ever heard that statement, he works hard in the weight room, works hard in the classroom, loves the game of football, and he's one hell of a teammate. So, that's who he is, and I'm very proud to be his football coach, and we're lucky to have a guy like him on our team.
You talk about Appalachian State, always one of the standard bearers in here. Did the non-conference schedule, y'all played a good one. Is that sort of prepared you more for this?
I don't know. I'll be able to tell you after the App State game this Saturday. I would like to think so. When you play really, really good competition, and we've played very, very good competition in the first 4 games, I think it does prepare you. But we're certainly going to find out very quickly how well it has prepared us for a team like Appalachian State. Like I said, that they do set the standard in the Sun Belt Conference. They've been doing it for a number of years, and they were setting the standard long before they even got in the Sun Belt Conference. So we're very aware of what they are and their traditions and just how powerful of a football team they are. We're trying to catch up to them, and like I said, we're improving, and we'll see where it all kind of lays out on Saturday.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan, and thank you, Coach. Do appreciate your time today.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. That will conclude this week's teleconference. We'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. A copy of this will be posted on sunbeltsports.org later today. If we can assist you in any way, please feel free to reach out to the Sun Belt Conference office. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We hope everybody has a great week.